So at the time of filming this video, it's the eve of the waiting period for the Rip Curl Pro at Bells Beach, the second stop on the 2016 World Tour. It will run between the 24th of March and the 5th of April. Let's have a look at what you're likely to expect. So the first thing to be aware of is that there are a hell of a lot of injuries for so early in the season. In fact, meaning there's a lot of surfers that aren't going to be competing. These include Owen Wright and Bede Durbridge, both suffering and still recovering from injuries they sustained at the back end of last year at Pipeline. Jack Freestone and Philippe Toledo both injured themselves on the Gold Coast. Obviously Philippe in competition strained his groin and expects to be out until at least Margaret River. Jack Freestone also injured himself shortly after exiting the competition himself in a free surfing incident. And finally, Alehu Muniz is soon be sitting out of the event as well. Although this is really sad news for those guys and we wish them a really speedy recovery, this is great news for a load of other guys. Firstly, Sebastian Zietz, who put in an amazing showing at the Gold Coast, gets another call up, and I know I for one am really looking forward to see how he performs. He was really exciting to watch at the Gold Coast, and I hope he's pretty similar at Bells. Certainly the way he was surfing, I think the wave might suit him quite nicely. Stuart Kennedy, again, absolutely amazing performance at the Gold Coast, fully deserves another call up. I'm looking forward to see him surf. Mason Ho got the call up last year. Obviously his main sponsor, Rip Curl. Probably the best thing about Rip Curl sponsoring Mason is getting to see him in competitions like this. Everybody loves Mason surf. If you don't love him surf, how can you not love his post-heat interviews? And finally, Adam Melling and Dusty Payne round out the 5 surfers who are in the event replacing the injuries. In addition to the injuries, we also have 2 wildcards. We have Tim Bissell and Tim Stevenson. Tim Stevenson is a local wildcard. Both of these guys progressed through the trials event, which was surfed in 4 to 5 foot Bells Bowl. So they've both worked to get there. They've shown they can put on good performances there. The question, as always with wildcards, is how they can stand up to the World Tour, the guys who are doing this day in, day out. Tim Stevenson is a local, so he's obviously got local knowledge. He is a former competitive surfer who stopped competing 4 years ago because he lost a fire and has that fire again now. And in dominating the field in the trials shows that he means business. Tim Bissell, people know a little more about him. He's on the QS at the moment, has a really strong backhand which a lot of people are speculating puts him in good stead to potentially put in some upsets at Bells. Particularly if the surf isn't that big, you quite often find it suits itself quite nicely to those guys who are used to grinding out on the QS. So let's have a quick look at the actual swell forecast for the waiting period. I'd like to start by saying a massive thank you to Magic Seaweed for letting me use their data in this video. I'd recommend anybody check their website out for any forecasting you need to do. So looking at the charts, Bells Beach is located right about here on the map. And it will run in anything from a southwest right through to a southeast swell. The winds are best at northwest. Obviously there are other directions which will give us surfable conditions, but northwest is favourable. So looking at the period, we're going to start off in the first day or so fairly small. There is then, as the weekend comes in, a little bit of a pulse comes through. Late in Saturday, early Sunday, dying off through the day, then it dies off again. It's quite small before right at the back end of the period we get another pulse of swell come in quite strongly, a bit more strongly than the first one by the look of it. So looking at the wind, unfortunately it doesn't look like it's playing game. It's not particularly strong. Let's get to Saturday when the first pulse of swell came. You can see the winds are quite strong, more southwest, south, but they're not too strong. So hopefully there'll be some surfable conditions. It's not absolutely perfect, but hopefully we'll have something. Towards the back end of the period, we probably are looking like the winds are slightly better. So with that swell and the lighter winds, maybe looking like the best surf's going to be towards the end. But as we all know, once we start getting this far ahead on our forecasts, it is slightly more unreliable. So let's just keep our finger crossed that the wind does play game and that swell comes. In my opinion, we're probably looking like, I think the WSL will try and run some heats in the first pulse of swell that we get Saturday, Sunday. Primarily because the contest traditionally runs over Easter. They charge people to get on the beach. If it falls on a weekend, they're going to be keen to get people down there. So I do think they'll probably run a few heats, maybe get rounds 1, 2 out the way, and then save the end until that larger swell at the end of the window, and hopefully the winds will play game as well and give us some good swell to finish on. As I say, the waiting period for the Bells contest starts on the 24th of March and will run through to the 5th of April. The fantasy surfer teams, you will still be able to adjust right up until that first wave is surfed. So if you've got any final tweaks to do, get on your team now, get them tweaked, get them set up and get them ready to go. If you search in either of the fantasy surfers, the World Surf League or the Surfer Mag version, we have a Surfing Connoisseur club. I'd love you to come and join us. If you've got any thoughts yourself on who's going to perform well at Bells, I'd love to know, so pop it in the comments below. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, we'll be doing more updates as the event and the year progresses, so please press subscribe and check back soon. Cheers.